Okay, you guys, we're trying this again because we had to change technologies real quick. Can you guys see us?
It's currently under guys' screen share. It's of the PowerPoint.
You are seeing a screen share, but you're not seeing it in full. You guys aren't seeing it in.
Yes, because it's long.
Okay, so let me see. Is that bigger now? No.
No, that didn't help.
Okay.
We can't see who's presenting, but we can see everybody else who's talking down at the bottom. But we can see your screen. It's not.
It's not in
like PowerPoint.
It's not
display
in
mode.
it's not in display mode, huh? Which is really weird.
Is it for you?
I'm presenting to it. Yeah. You're screen sharing. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, but I wanted to screen share a full view versus just.
Try that button on the right in the lower left corner.
No, we're trying that now.
What do you guys see again?
They see it like this. They see it small, and so I went back over here.
Yeah. So.
And then I just. Maybe I could just make it bigger.
I think there's a presentation mode on in the bottom left corner, the third button.
Yes.
I think.
I've been doing that, you guys, but it still shows up as only this view. Because I'm actually in full screen view now. Let me try another. Maybe I could just make it bigger. Is this bigger? Can you go?
Yeah.
Is that better? Yeah, because it won't.
Where's the hangout here, right?
Yeah, so it is bigger. Well, that's good.
Okay, send me that. Email me that. And just
Sorry, you guys. Just give us a moment. We just had to abandon our earlier plan because, unfortunately, for some reason, our session got really, really full, and then none of us could get on. Yep, on Communicator. So I'm just going to make it bigger because that's the only way that it actually works.
Okay, it's on. You're broadcasting now.
Am I broadcasting?
Just continue with the presentation. So I wonder if you click on the next slide, if that'll.
Yay. Okay.
Okay. So just get my slide share or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm broadcasting this. We're going to start from scratch.
Okay, sorry. So we are actually going to try to do two things at once, you guys. Again, total apologies. I've been totally apologizing here. This is Alisa from Intuit. I'm joined here by Kelly Goodall, Tony Hernandez, and also our tech support, our other team member. Her name is Rocio Montes. So you'll be hearing all of us talking all at the same time. So hopefully you guys can see us. We'll start over again. Hopefully, again, you guys could hear us. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Wanted to welcome you, but we also wanted to just be able to help you guys through and give you a heads up on what to expect as we are going to be with you all in Northeastern. We also want you to think about taking our code challenge because, to be honest, that is the best and first way that you can get a guaranteed interview with us. And then talk to you guys about the next events that we have on campus. And for any questions, Kelly Goodall is our recruiter, so please send her an email at kelly_goodall@intuit.com. And I will put her name back down at the end again in case you guys didn't get that. So here are your hosts. Sorry. So here are your hosts. Okay, let me just do this. This is Alisa.
I'm Kelly Goodall. I'm a university recruiter.
Hi, I'm Tony Hernandez, quality leader.
and we hopefully have Brian McCarthy also joining us. Intuit, for those of you who don't know who we are, this is where it gets all messed up a little bit, is we are a software and technology company, and and we create solutions that help both small businesses and do-it-yourselfers tackle issues or things like getting your taxes done, and managing your small business, as well as getting payments through your business. Some of our products include TurboTax, Quicken, Mint, QuickBooks, and GoPayment. No, I could. What happens is that nothing. It doesn't scroll. Yeah, sorry. I know we tried. So, Tony, could you talk again about our technologies here at Intuit?
Yeah, so we use all the normal tech stacks you would expect: Java, JavaScript, HTML5, CSS, as well as C++, pretty much C#. I mean, anything you can think of, we use. Most noticeably, this past year, we've actually moved to start using Node.js as well as AngularJS for a lot of our core experiences. And this year, every TurboTax customer will actually go through an experience through Node.js. So we're also not just using some of the core technology stacks you would expect, but we're also using a lot of the newer tech stacks that are coming out, technologies that are just coming out in industry, as well as providing and giving back to the open source community. So you can find a lot of the work we've done actually being put back out on GitHub, Stack Overflow. So if you join a team here at Intuit, you'll definitely be using not only helping sharpen some of your core dev skills with some of the core technologies, but also probably getting your feet wet with some of the newer tech stacks that are out there.
Thanks, Tony. Kelly, can you talk about our campuses and where our current positions are?
Yeah, so Intuit has campuses across all of the U.S. and internationally. Our campuses, we really strive to make them really fun, enjoyable places to come to work. Our headquarters are in Mountain View, and we have locations across California as well. Our biggest location that we'll be hiring for coming up when we come to Northeastern is going to be San Diego. And then we also have a location in Cambridge, which we'll be hiring some positions for as well. These pictures you'll see are just a few of the highlights of the things that you have to look forward to, especially those palm trees.
In San Diego, not in Cambridge, right?
Right.
And I know you guys in Northeastern right now, I have to tell you, it's a little bit of a struggle for those of us that are coming from San Diego to come meet you all. It's about 73 degrees outside and sunny, so I know y'all are struggling with a little bit of snow, but I'm sure that's great sledding weather. So I wanted to just talk about our engineering opportunities, because this time around, all of our positions are all engineering. So I wanted to make sure that everyone understood that we are looking for the co-ops, the 6-month co-ops that are, available, ready, and willing, and want to join our team for June, July start of this year. Tony, I wanted you to kind of talk about software engineer first, and I know I'm listing some high levels here, but could you talk about what is that role?
Yeah, so our software engineering roles here at Intuit are really that. I mean, we put you guys in development teams, development projects, and you will be working on our billion-dollar products. So you will be not only contributing to the development of the products, but we also expect you to be kind of a part of the team. So we also use agile methodologies here at Intuit, and we expect you guys to be part of the team, attending the daily stand-ups, providing input back on design, being part of code reviews, design reviews, really, shaping and influencing the entire design of our products, not just kind of sitting in a corner and writing code. You guys are all very, very, very smart, and we know you guys can write code. But what we really expect here is well-rounded engineers, and that's really what we try to leave you with. Is when you leave Intuit, is that you are a well-rounded engineer. So you'll not only understand how to write the best practices around coding, but you'll actually be part of the entire development cycle. So I've seen co-ops work not only on TurboTax Online, which generates over $1 billion in revenue, but also work on brand new projects that pretty much just came to inception while they were during their co-op and go all the way out to production and get customers using their products for the very first time within the span of 6 months. So there's a ton of opportunities in the space of software engineering, and again, using all these new technologies, industry standard technologies.
Do you want to just do a high level on the data engineer?
Yeah, so big data is obviously becoming a bigger and bigger topic. We're definitely seeing a lot of the value here at Intuit, specifically speaking for the TurboTax group. If you can think about taxes, we have a very short window where we really have to make a difference for our customers. And from a business perspective, we have to know at any given point how are we doing with the product, how are our customers liking our products, and if there's something they're not liking, we really need to know about that quickly. So data engineering is a huge new space that we're really starting to grow here at Intuit, and as well as in the industry. So here, you'll be part of a engineering team as well that's helping develop platforms and libraries that allow all of our teams to be able to collect this data at extremely high volumes, and then also on the backside be able to analyze this and provide it back to the analysts. So here you'll be working with business people, other developers, data engineers, software engineers, business analysts. So again, this is a great opportunity for you to work cross-functionally and really help the business move fast.
I know not a lot of people are on that can ask questions, but for those of you that are on that can ask questions, are there any questions before we keep moving? And you guys could also type them up if that makes it easier. I know Kelly's looking at any questions you guys might have. So I'm going to keep moving here. The first kind of tip we wanted to give you guys is around resumes. And I think between the three of us here around the table, we've seen, I would say, in the number of thousands of resumes, at least even in the last year alone, from many students, including those from Northeastern. And to be honest, it is not about the length. The big thing, and I'm going to ask both Kelly and Tony to jump in whenever, but it's really about the quality and whether or not that is describing what it is that you want to, what you want to pursue. An example is I had a student that wanted to be an engineer, but they were a double major, and so they listed everything and anything, and I could not understand from their resume what it is they wanted to do. They wanted to be an engineer, but the whole page had everything on the left side, the right side, and all in the middle, and it was 3 pages long. And let me give you guys a tip. Our CEO's resume is 1 page long. And he's a lot older than any of us around this table, and yet his resume is only 1 page long. It is okay to do back-to-back, but please realize that sometimes when we do scan these resumes, we do miss the back. So just think about 1 page max that really describes you, your projects, some key things that you want to highlight. If you don't have much experience, add class projects that highlight your skills and any leadership opportunities. I love seeing things like, people who actually, not only do stuff inside in school, but also outside of school. That would be great. We actually, in terms of looking at your skills, especially the languages, we want to see that in the top third of the paper. So you want to put it, like, to be honest, immediately after your name and maybe like your objective, if you even want to write that, but right at the top. And use active voice. So let me tell you what that means. I've seen things like I have led, or I have coded. Instead of saying have coded, just say you coded something. Say you led something. And use that kind of word, those kinds of words. And for engineers, please list the languages in order of proficiency. Tony, can you talk about what that means?
Yeah, so list your strongest languages first, because we have a lot of engineering individuals who will be out there actually performing these interviews with you guys, and actually screening as well, when you come up to us with your resume. And the first thing we're going to jump to is your skills, most likely, and that's where we're going to start asking you a lot of questions. And the expectation, I know I have, as well as a lot of my peers, is that if you put something on your resume, it's fair game for us to ask you questions about it. And again, being very transparent as to what your level is very important, because if we see someone who lists 10 languages out on paper, we're going to ask you questions about a lot of those and really understand your proficiency. And the expectation is, if you're putting on your resume, it's because you feel pretty confident about being able to use that in the real world. So, you don't have to, it doesn't mean that if you come up to us and you have 3 languages listed, you're not going to have an opportunity with us. If you know those 3 languages extremely well, then that's great. I would much rather see that than see a list of 15 languages that you've done something with, or you used one on one project in 1 week in a class. We really don't want to see that. We really want to see what you know.
And for those, I'm just going to say there's ladies in the house. I will say that sometimes many of us will not list a language because we feel that maybe we only know it 80% of the way. But I will say that if you can say that you know something with 80% proficiency, that's pretty advanced for us. So don't hesitate in writing that down. You don't have to know something like 100% of the way. We understand. You guys are in school. Okay, so what we mean by proficiency doesn't mean that, man, that person today can run their own company potentially. Now you could, but I just wanted to make sure that we point that out, because not everyone is going to feel confident that they can put something out there if they feel like, oh, I'm only 75 or 80% proficient. Our biggest issues actually with with resumes is proofreading, emails, and phone numbers. And I know that sounds silly, but I have, every single time I go out to campuses, at least 1 to 2 students that missed their callback or missed an invitation from us to interview because their email address was incorrect or it bounced back. Don't you think so, Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, or the phone numbers are switched. Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure that you guys, please make sure that your email and phone numbers are correct. Some additional tips. Please avoid using grays, pink, light colors. I had somebody that was using yellow as their margin for their underline for everything. And as we photocopy that or as we scan that, those colors go away. They don't even show up if I take a picture of it. So please avoid that. I mean, really what we're looking for is content and quality. We know that you guys are not designers. I'm not looking for design skills, and even if you are a designer, I would be looking at your portfolio and not necessarily your resume for that. Okay, so just stick with things like sans serif, maybe Arial, Avenir book, things that are easy to read. I had one student last time that loved italics, and I forgot which font she used, but it was so hard to read, and then she filled the whole thing up that I couldn't even, I just ended up interviewing her on the spot because I couldn't read her resume because everything was italicized. And then lastly, you guys, it is not about a laundry list. If you have 12 or 13 class projects, pick the 1 to 2 that says, this is what I can do. It's about painting a picture of you, and we know, you guys, that you are accomplished folks, but I don't want to see a laundry list of stuff. And again, it's about quality of content and not necessarily like, every single thing. We'll ask you more if we want to know more. Anything else you guys want to add, Tony or Kelly?
Yeah, I would just echo a lot of what you just said. Keeping it simple is really, the essential thing here. We know that you're in school. Whatever you say on your resume, you don't have to try and over-impress us. We know where you're at in your career, and we don't expect that you have, 18 different jobs that you've had in the past. So just keep it simple. Be straight to the point, like Tony and Eliza were saying, with the skills that you have. If you're going to put down skills that you're learning, make sure that that's noted, that you're just learning this right now in maybe a project that you're working on. But if you're going to put something down, just be prepared to be questioned on it. So
we're going to pause here because we have quite a few questions. Rocio, will you read one of them?
Okay, so one of them says, I am looking for full-time opportunities starting from May. So is this just for co-op opportunities?
So the question was, somebody's looking for a full-time position starting in May, and just we're wondering if we're coming out just to look for co-ops. What's the answer?
So this trip is definitely focused mostly on co-ops. However, we do have full-time and internship positions available at Intuit that I would love to talk to you about. This is Kelly. So at that time, if we meet you there, then we would probably just redirect you to talk to me about what those steps would include. But you just probably wouldn't be involved in like the interview process while we're there on campus.
Rocio, other questions?
Yes. I am from Northeastern Seattle campus. Would we also have the same opportunity as the Boston campus, or could you have a hangout session separately for us after you visited the Boston campus?
I didn't even know there was a
Well, first of all, thank you guys for letting us know there's a Seattle campus. Kelly, I think that would be can you connect that person, please, with Kelly Goodall? Mm-hmm. And we'll definitely talk through next steps because for those of you in the Seattle office, wow, great to hear there is one. Mm-hmm. And you guys are laughing because the truth of it is we actually just now learned about that. So thank you for letting us know. But please connect with Kelly on that. Yeah. Other questions?
Yes. So on Cool Access, which is their I think their career postings, they have jobs for Intuit like mobile engineer and UI engineer. Are those jobs not being offered anymore?
So the question was on your, I guess, website or service that you guys have on campus, are the mobile engineers and UI engineers not available anymore?
So we actually have, when we don't actually post specifically software engineering, we will ask you what your preference is as far as what type of development you like to do. So we do have individuals who say they prefer, web engineering, just front end, straight like JavaScript, HTML, CSS. We'll have other engineers or individuals who prefer more back end development services, Java, Node.js, as well as mobile. So really depends on what positions we have available at the time and what teams need help to determine which teams you'd actually go to. But like I said, there is a lot of opportunity to cross Intuit for different type of positions. So as you talk to the individual that you're meeting with from Intuit, just make it clear to them what type of positions you'd be interested in.
Kelly, I think that's also something that now that we got that question, we'll definitely follow up with Northeastern because just to let you all know, all of those kinds of roles, mobile, UI, backend, they all roll up to the software engineer. So we'll definitely make sure that even on our info session on Tuesday when we're there, that we will cover that as well. Because that just tells me, I think we have in the past broken it out, but we definitely want to make sure all of those roles fall under here. Mm-hmm. There is a tip, you guys, and I don't know if this is controversial for me to say, so sorry, Tony, sorry, Kelly, but I will say for those of you that are looking, like I'm really strong in UI, I will say, please be open to learning back-end also. We definitely would love to see people that what we consider full stack. You might be strong in one or the other, but would love to see like the kind of interest in learning the other side. So I'm not saying that those are we prefer those. I'm just saying the more flexible you are at learning and gaining those kinds of experiences while you're here into it or even at school, the better actually more well-rounded engineer you will be. Tony, do you want to
so I definitely echo that. So for my co-ops, they always, all have a preference on what they're looking to learn throughout their co-op, but actually on their goals, it is clearly stated that they will learn how to develop both front-end and back-end to become a true full-stack engineer. After they've been able to do that, then we'll work on giving them opportunities in what area they really prefer. But it's really, really important to be a true full-stack engineer. Really what happens and you'll learn in the real world, is when you get hired for a job, things change pretty quickly within the businesses, and there's reorgs that happen, there's teams that get combined, they get moved around. So by having those skills and at least knowing how to work across the entire stack will definitely benefit you in your career.
Any other questions,
Yes.
Rocio?
Are you guys coming for the career fair on the 5th or another day?
So the question is are we coming for the career fair on the 5th? Kelly?
No. So that's a short answer, is we will not be coming to the career fair at Northeastern. And the reason for that is that we are going to be spending quite a few days at Northeastern's campus beforehand, and we have several events set up to where we hope to meet all of you in a more intimate setting before the career fair, where we'll have less time and less ability to talk to you for a period of time where we'd really be able to get to know you. So we will not be coming to the career fair, but we do have listed events that should be available through the career site and the co-op program. So if you want to access those, check there, and also through our career site, we'll have information there.
We do have an event. It's on Tuesday, and I'll go over that next Tuesday, where we definitely invite you guys. It is our interactive info session, and it's just for Intuit. It really allows you to ask questions. We know how crazy career fairs are, and so this really allows you guys to have, like Kelly mentioned, more one-on-one connection with all of us. Any more questions before we move forward?
You're going to put all that information here.
Oh, all of this information, by the way, we are going to put in the original Hangout page that we sent out to begin with. So please don't worry. We'll definitely put all this information there. And any contact information. Any other questions before we move forward, Rocio?
Yes. Are these co-op positions in San Diego, Cambridge? Are there any international co-ops in your international offices?
So the question is the locations for these co-ops. Where are they, Kelly?
So for this upcoming semester, which we're hiring for, which would start in the June, July timeframe, we are only hiring for San Diego and Cambridge. There may be future opportunities available in other locations in the following semesters, but right now that is the only locations that we're hiring for.
Okay, I'm going to move forward unless there's any pressing questions. Okay, thank you, Rocio. So one of the things that we will be asking folks for, especially if you interview, is your LinkedIn profile. And again, it's not different from the resume in terms of tips, but we want to make sure that you guys do a few things. One is put your languages right at the top, right under background, right under summary. Put it right up there. I'm kind of showing, it's too bad that I can't really show this very big. Let me just see if I could make it bigger. Is that better? Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, you can kind of read it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
How about now?
Exactly.
So this is actually one of the quality leaders here in TurboTax team. And I use his example because he partly did this also because of an audit we recently did. But please put your languages right up here where it says summary. And again, just as Tony has mentioned, by order of proficiency, your strongest language first. Okay, and then let me just go back. I also want to make sure that while you have some time, and I know this is like a mad dash to get endorsements, oops. Is that you all start thinking about connecting with folks so you could get endorsements. So that people could say, hey, that person really does know, Java, or, really does know Java or software development or Agile or Python. So please focus on building endorsements for your skills. Those are, I would say, the key important things. In addition, just like I mentioned before, you guys, in the resume, it's about quality. You can potentially do more of a laundry list in LinkedIn. It's a little easier to scan than on a resume. But those are, I would say, the key tips on LinkedIn. We definitely do look at this. We also look at to see if you have done any previous co-ops or internships. Now, I have gotten asked this of whether or not your previous internship or co-op needed to be related to what you are seeking. So, Tony, I'm going to ask you for your feedback on this, but there's a part of me that wants to say yes, but there's a part of me that wants to say it depends. So I've had co-ops or co-op engineers who have done an internship, not necessarily in coding, but they did something more in a leadership capacity. I think that's interesting, but at the end of the day, the tech interview, you guys, is still quite rigorous, and so I think it's okay to not have your co-op in the area of engineering, but I always let students know that you want to always be strategic in the types of positions you take while you are in school. I recently interviewed in another university an engineering student that basically had 2 years worth of work experience in the kitchen. But on the side had done a bunch of hackathons and had really cool class projects. The thing about the kitchen that was interesting was he really liked to cook. And so it just makes it interesting, but at the end of the day, to be honest, it still comes back to your proficiency in language as well as your fit in terms of organizational fit and whether or not you like working with teams, because guess what? It's all about that at Intuit. Do you want to comment a little more on LinkedIn, Tony?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely agree with everything Aliza mentioned, and again, as far as the experience goes, we are looking for individuals who can demonstrate they know how to code and are proficient at it, and can do it pretty well. Because like I mentioned earlier, we really want you guys to help and be part of the team and contribute in many other ways than just writing code. So it just goes to we are going to look for strengths that you have. So again, anything you can do to really show us what your strengths are in these positions, right? Like Aliza was mentioning, showing us that you participated in hackathons, showing us that you do side projects or you created an app on your own just to go learn a new technology. Like those are really the things that are going to help you set apart. So the more you can demonstrate that to us, the better opportunities you'll have.
And you guys, don't underestimate your experience in contributing to things like Stack Overflow.
Oh, yeah.
So any open source contributions are awesome. So don't underestimate that you did something in that space. Rocio, it's any more questions before we go to the next session? Oh, okay. So this is where it gets a little scary, I know, because it's about the technical interview. So we want to give you guys some tips on the technical as well as situational interview. So I'm going to pass it on to Tony, who's going to talk to you about the technical interview, and then we'll pass it on to Kelly about what to bring to a technical interview.
So our technical interview, we are going to ask you some questions. Some of them will be, just straight questions. Others we'll actually write you to either write code on the board. Most of the rooms will have some way for either paper or whiteboards for you to actually be able to answer some of the questions. And again, we really want to be able to see what you're capable of. So when we ask you these questions, definitely, I always say the more code you can actually write that is syntactically correct, the better. If you, for whatever reason, may not know the correct way, that's fine. Just call it out. You can always write some pseudocode, but the more real code you can write, definitely the better. The other part with the technical interviews is if maybe you don't know the answer to a question, just be upfront with us and let us know. And you can always walk us through your thought process. So maybe you don't know, but you can say, hey, I don't know, but here's maybe what I would do, and walk us through your thought process. Because the other thing we really want to get to know is, how do you go about solving problems? How do you think about problems? Kind of what techniques have you learned over your years to help be able to solve these problems in such a way that will allow you to then find the right solution and go implement that, right? And again, that's kind of where the coding part, like we said earlier, we really, really expect you guys to be proficient in that so we can get to some of these deeper things. So that's kind of what the technical interview will be. We will ask you, like I said, a good amount of questions, and be prepared to write code in those interviews.
Kelly, if someone is invited to an interview, could you tell them what to bring?
Yeah, so when you're coming to do the interview, you're going to want to bring a project with you that you are proud of, that you've worked on recently, and you can describe the type of work that you did on that project. So you can bring that a few different ways. You can either bring it on your own computer or a tablet device, or if it's easier to bring it on a USB or a thumb drive, you can bring that and we can provide the device for you to share that with us. Or even a link to a GitHub if you have something shared that's viewable on web where you can look into the code there. And you're also going to want to bring a link to your LinkedIn profile as well as your resume. Even better yet, put your LinkedIn profile on your resume. It makes it way easier for us.
Thanks, you guys. Orcio, any questions on this? The situational interview is one that I really like. There are no right or wrong answers in this one. So each person who goes to an interview will go through a technical piece and what we call a situational, or some people call it behavioral, some people call it organizational fit. But it really is, we just want to learn about who you are. You get to ask us questions and we get to ask you questions about you. And the questions can range. Like some of my favorite questions are like, what is your favorite class in school and why? Or tell me about a time where you had to lead a project. Or tell me about something that didn't work but you learned so much about yourself. And as you can tell, those are the kinds of questions, to be honest, where you don't have a right or wrong. But I will tell you that the next 3 bullets here, when you respond, that is how I would like for you all to respond. The first is find an example. So if I ask you, tell me about a situation where you led a project, it's okay to pause. It's okay to think about a time. Think about that example. And then the next thing you want to tell me is, what did you do and how did you solve it? If there was a problem, how did you fix it? How did you solve it? And then the last is, I'd like to know about what did you learn along the way, whether it's something about the way you worked on something or something about yourself. So be specific with an example, tell us how you solved it, and then what did you learn along the way. That's actually how you could be really, really good at a situational interview. And I want to make sure you all know that both the technical interview and situational interview tips, you can take this anywhere. It's not just at Intuit. If you were to go with our rivals like Google or Apple or other companies like that, they will ask you the same exact things, and the expectations, you guys, are exactly the same. But we're trying to give you guys tips so you are ready whether you interview with us or with somebody else. Any questions? I'm not going to role play this one because I think Tony knows all the answers and Kelly knows all the answers. Any questions online that you're seeing?
No.
Somebody asked if they'd be able to code in the language of their choice during the technical interview.
So did you guys hear the question? Can you just say it? Just like the question again.
So somebody asked on the chat if they'd be able to code in the technical language that they choose during the technical interview. What do you think?
Yes. So when we ask you to code, we'll definitely let you use a language you feel comfortable with. And then, but just be prepared. We may ask you some specific questions within other languages or common languages. So just be prepared for that as well.
What about those on the waiting list for the 15-minute interview screen on 2/9? Will a schedule be released for screenings on the 10th?
So the question was, there's quite a few folks on the waiting list for the what we sometimes call speed dating, but it's our quick interviews that we do, or quick assessments. Kelly, what's our plan for that?
Yeah, so with the people that are on the waiting list for those speed screens on Monday, anybody that's not able to make it into the schedule on Monday, we're going to try and get in contact with you before the info session on Tuesday so that we can hopefully meet you first after the info session on Tuesday and make sure that we get that time with you then. Because we will have some time set aside to do assessments with the people that are there after the info session.
Oh, that's good, Kelly. So hopefully you guys could make it to that. The info session is at 6, but we'll go over that on Tuesday. We do want to, here's where we get to the tech challenge. Okay, hold on a second. Sorry, I'm going to try to. And we are going to put this link, by the way, also on the original Hangout page. So it starts tonight until what time? Because I have to change this time.
So it goes actually from right after this, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, noon time tomorrow, you guys. So you guys have about 16 hours to complete this tech challenge.
One of the things that we want to make sure you all know is that the moment that you actually start it, there is a clock, you guys. It doesn't go on for 16 hours. There is a time limit for, how many questions are there?
So there's 3 questions. They range from, from easy, medium, hard. So I would recommend going through and looking at them and seeing, figuring out the best strategy for yourself to make sure you can complete as many of the questions as possible. The way they actually get scored is there's test data that we've inputted for each test, and as you can get your program to solve each one of those different sets of test data, you'll get points. So you can get partial points as well for each question. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. The other thing is, when you first go to the challenge, you'll actually have a link there where you can take a sample test so you can get used to the tool and how to use HackerRank, which I would recommend. There's been a lot of instances where individuals have gone and just jumped right into the test, and because then they're timed, they kind of have to learn how to use HackerRank at the same time trying to solve the challenge. So I would recommend taking some time to take that sample test just so you can get familiar with how it works. Yeah, you'll have 3 tests. You have 90 minutes, and good luck.
So this is a bit of a competition, this code challenge, and it is through HackerRank. Again, it will start after this session tonight with you all. The top scores, we are going to take the top 15% of those who score, and those folks get invited to a tech and situational interview with us on Monday the 9th or Tuesday the 10th. So if you don't, if you are on a wait list for that speed dating / speed assessment, speed interview, this is a great way to get ahead of that line. Because you're going to already, if you are in the top 15%, get invited to an interview, and you may not even need to go through the assessment process.
Yeah, the only other thing I want to just call out for everyone is that in the past we have had individuals who have collaborated on this challenge. And again, this is a challenge. We are looking for the top 15% of individuals to give them interviews and opportunities within Intuit. So you can help your friend out, but if you do that, there are ways for us to find out via HackerRank, and we've actually had to turn a handful of people away that otherwise we would have extended offers to because of that. So I just want to call that out, let you guys know that this is a challenge, and we are looking for the top 15%.
Are there any questions that we see online regarding this before we move forward?
Not this, but there's a question about what can people do if they're looking for full-time.
Okay, so before we keep going, the question was, what could people do if they're looking for a full-time position? Kelly?
So what's going to happen with anybody that's looking for something outside of a co-op? So that could be maybe a summer internship or a full-time position. Anybody that's looking for those types of roles, what will happen is you will be interviewed in a virtual setting shortly following the time that we're on campus instead of being interviewed on campus. We do have positions available for those types of roles, so you would go through an assessment. It just won't happen at the time that we are on campus. So timeline is extended a little bit further, but I would anticipate that still within a few weeks after that we would know whether or not you would get a position with us.
Kelly, do you suggest that they reach out to you?
Yes, so if you're not going to be at the events on campus, then definitely reach out to me so that we can connect virtually, or you can feel free to reach out to me now and we can get that conversation started ahead of time.
This might look a little messed up on people's schedule. Let me give you guys an update on, I think we don't even have any more speed assessment sessions, but February 9th on Monday is our speed assessment sessions at Stearns Building, and that's really full day. The 10th, which is Tuesday at 6 p.m., this is our interactive info session at the Raytheon Amphitheater. Again, as Kelly mentioned, if you are on the wait list, we are going to try to get to you guys after this session. We do have some time, what I'm calling the after party, after that session. So please hang out and stay so that you guys could so you could talk to us. At that session, we do recommend you bring your resume if you have not been assessed by us. And then the folks that come from there, we do have interviews on February 11th, which is the following day. So, but again, those are after you've been assessed. If you are invited to a tech interview and a situational interview, again, please bring a project you would like to share that you're super proud of. And again, I will be putting this information in the other Google Hangout page. Here's the Code Challenge link again. And for those of you who want to get in touch with Kelly, here's her email. Any questions? Anything else, Kelly, on your side? Or?
Somebody asked on the chat if people do the speed dating interviews on Monday, when the interview would be scheduled for, and that would be for either the Tuesday or the Wednesday after those speed interviews. So you wouldn't have your full interview take place that same day.
Anything else, Rocio? Cool. Cool. Well, hopefully we will see you guys at our event on campus, whether it's at the speed assessment or at the interactive info session. We also invite you guys again to take the Code Challenge because, again, that is the best way to get ahead of the line. Again, top 15% will be invited for an interview. And final note on this, I loved how you said it around collaborating. Tony, but we do want to make sure that you all know this is for an individual competition. This is not a group project. Okay, so this is for individual. We definitely want to make sure that you all understand that it's not two of you come together. If you guys nail it, then both of you get an interview. It actually doesn't work that way. So please make sure that that it is about you and you alone. And with that said, if there are no other questions, I am going to post this information up in the original Google Hangout page. I apologize for the craziness of what happened earlier. I want to thank my colleagues, Rocio, Tony, and Kelly, for being so level-headed. Well, I was not. But thank you, you guys, and hopefully we'll see you on campus. Stay warm, stay dry, stay safe, and see you guys. Really excited to see you.
Bye.
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 Great. Thank you.
Techno bar. I'm calling you Techno bar.
Yeah.